we've talked about things that's kind of challenged as leaders. Now, what has stretched you as a leader? You know, that thing that where you thought you were just at that end, and you're like, nope, this thing, whatever this is making me go a little bit further, and I don't know if I can do it, but you did it.
For me, the stretch was politics. I always said I was not going to be a politician, and that I was going to do things through servant leadership and not politically. But I found that the higher level that I would rise in my career, politics is real. And when it comes to resources that are limited, there will always be politics. But I did not ever have to compromise my values. And but decisions have to be made by groups, and that's why politics exists. And I found myself in many positions where I had to really pray and stay true to what I know. And there's one compliment that happened when I got ready to retire. And then there was a group of politicians, and they said, "We're going to miss you." And they said, "You've been our conscience." Wow. And by them, that to me is one of the biggest compliments that you can have from a group, because I always redirected everything we said or did back to students first. Students have to be in the center of it.
You know, learning to navigate others' operational leadership styles and operational styles, just knowing that there's more than one way to lead, and not being in a situation where someone's leadership style is not in line with what I think is a great leader. And I'll say that, and understanding that is not that they're not a great leader. It's just that their style is different from what I've experienced, and being able to position myself to be the servant leader that we all purport to be, and not saying this ain't right. We can't be doing it that way. We have to do it this way. But saying, you know what? Okay, that's a different perspective. I'm not sure if I agree with this perspective, but they're leading. So how am I going to, be the servant leader that I say that I am, if I'm pushing back against someone else's leadership style because it's very different and far left from mine? So that's been a huge stretch for me. For the last 10 years, I've been in administration, but I'm typically in middle management. And so that's been a stretch for me, because I feel personally I have, qualities that, I want to be able to exercise. And I too have visions, and just being patient with God and allowing for God to pull me into what space that He wants me to be in, to lead from whatever seat I'm in. Those are things that have really stretched me as a leader.
Listen, and that's how our muscles get stronger. We actually have to stretch first before we do any exercise, yes, right? And so we have to stretch ourselves in so many different capacities, even when we don't realize we're doing it. So thank you for sharing that, because that's that transparency. Now, right now, MOSAIC is really impacting 4 Southern California counties. How do you plan on expanding this sisterhood beyond those 4 counties? And what are those 4 counties?
Right now, for sure, we're in Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Orange County. For sure, one of the ways that we plan on expanding is a couple years ago, we had written a book called When We Talk. And so we're going to use that in order to spread the vision, help other women see this is our challenges, this is our struggles, this is our leadership style, and help bring them in. We've had some of our women expand into leadership positions in Northern California, so that's an easy transition for them to, within their own community, reach out, find women that are looking for that lifting up on the shoulders, as we discussed down here. At our MOSAIC Gala, many of the men in the audience were saying, well, I want to be part of MOSAIC now, because they had so much fun.
MOSAIC for Men, coming soon.
So MOSAIC for Men, it's on the forefront.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, how have you all supported one another in this endeavor, in this vision?
As we were building and getting ready for our gala, some of us stopped kind of what we're doing for our particular role to support the ladies who were leading the building and the development of the gala. And so it's just really being that servant leadership to one another, right? Servant leaders to one another, and supporting each other when we know the going's tough, and we want to have great results. And so we're willing to step in and support our sisters in that.
I love it. And now I've heard servant leader a lot through this, and I'm familiar about what that is, but how would you explain it to someone who may not know what a servant leader means?
I would take the words themselves and say, what is servant and what is leader? So when I talk about servant, I talk about someone who can anticipate a need and be responsive. That's your serving. So we look at our community and say, what does the community need? And then sometimes even anticipate what they're going to need and fill in that gap. So that's part of serving. And so sometimes leaders think that they should be served, that people should do everything they think and want and do. But no, servant leadership means that you are providing to the community. You know, we are servant leaders.
Yeah.
Each one of these women and those two that are not here, I've never seen so much servant leadership at the level that is done.
So let me ask you this. When you're in those positions, or when you were in those positions and dealing with the politics, who was your mentor?
God. in some situations, I'll just be honest with you guys. Some situations, they were so new, I would pray, and I had been in my office and the Lord had said, open up this book, turn to the ed code on this. And that's how kind of relationship I am. Turn to that page. I don't know why I need to know this today, but I'm gonna read it. But I did have a mentor, Art Delgado. He actually always stayed in my life once I worked under him as his deputy superintendent. And I could always call, and he's a man of God, and just run things by him. But, and that's why MOSAIC is so important. How many of us kind of hit and miss with mentors? And so there's no one that I could say has mentored me the whole journey. But Art Delgado in the last decade, he's been there for me.
Well, MOSAIC is going to turn that around for a
That's
lot of
what we're
women.
doing.
For a lot of women. So what are some goals for MOSAIC? What are some things that's coming forward in the future?
My vision is to get 1 million signatures by June of 2023. But I want them committing to peace, committing to loving one another, committing to creating a MOSAIC culture and racial healing. I want people to put it in writing and sign it. I want to be able to say 1 million people have agreed that they're going to try to do this on a daily basis.
A lot of the mentorship is the piece that I'm really big on because I've had so many amazing mentors. And Dr. White knows my number one mentor. So she knows my number one mentor very well. It's Dr. White. You know, pouring into other women, how women and others have poured into me. I've had a lot of great women mentors. And it's just something that I aspire, even in my day job, my night job, like everything I do. So I'm thinking that with MOSAIC, to take it to a place where we provide that mentorship and sponsorship, providing that sponsorship and that mentorship for other women, like women have provided for me. I have other mentors, you know, as well. And just teaching women about ensuring that they have different mentors for different times and different seasons and different things. You know, sometimes you need a mentor for, you know, your academics, you know, someone who's going to help you move forward if you're going into, you know, higher education. You know, sometimes you need a mentor on your job, someone who has the experience that you need them to have in order to mentor you through a certain season. So just pouring into our system. And then eventually with our men chapter, I learned something when I was working as an activities director that, you know, it's more difficult for women sometimes to mentor men. And so being able to provide support for the men as they mentor other men. So that's my vision for MOSAIC.
Dr. White has been a faith, integrity, a woman of servant leadership. And overall, Dr. White has been my mentor, but as well, I've had mentors like Sally Myers, owner of Sizzler, is also a woman of faith. And she's the one that pushed me to open my program 10 years ago. The company, I'm in financial industry, and our CEO of our company where I work at a credit union, Jennifer Binkley, she's been a mentor of women rights and what women can do. And I just go back to integrity and morals. I would love women to be able to stand up in powerful positions and lead with their faith and their heart and not be moved in their faith, their integrity, or their morals due to bullies and peer pressure, because we do have that at our age.
Yes.
So that would be my vision.
I think for me, the vision is, you know, we can't do this on our own. We need to multiply, right? Servant leaders to help do the work. And so I would love to see, having been in education so many years, really begin to build that with our children. That's really where I would love to see that, because that's going to change the next generation. And that's what we need. We need a solid start, for our young ones to begin to think about life and others differently. And so I feel like we need to build our army.
Start with the babes.
Exactly.
And build them strong.
Yes.
My vision is definitely tied in with her. Being a teacher, my passion is working with students, working with children. I can't see myself anywhere else ever. So beginning the club on campus where students start to find their own leadership identities and start to break through the barriers and the ideas that they may have about different races, and sitting down in a room with someone that doesn't look like you. And it also gives me the opportunity to get closer with students and mentor them through their next steps. I don't even know how many kids that I keep in touch with who are now in college, graduating this year, and they are so grateful for that support. And so if we can have our students learn that leadership and then they turn around and give it to somebody else in return, it just makes for a better community altogether.
Absolutely. Okay, so looking back, what is something that, if you all have thought about it, that you would do to prepare for the position that you're in now with MOSAIC?
It started, Dr. White and I would have lots of conversations about, MOSAIC and moving it forward. And it was just the two of us at first to start off with. And I think if I could look back, I would find out how we could get people on board a little sooner, just because it was a lot of moving parts with a few people. Just getting people on board and sharing the responsibilities and the successes a lot sooner is what I think I would do different.
Now, looking ahead, right? Two things. What is it that MOSAIC wants, and what is it that MOSAIC needs to continue impacting lives, building those scholarships, working with diversity, and having that servant leadership?
I think we want the million people, right? And then some. And what do we need? We need everyone's support in getting there and being open to loving everything about humanity.
Our scholarship and our educator award ceremony was a huge success. And I think that we need more people to know and understand that it's because of their support that we were able to provide the scholarships that we actually set out to provide a certain number of scholarships. I think we set out for 10 and we were able to do 11. And so just to continue to grow that and to continue to recognize our educators. We had educators that were recognized on that evening that had never been recognized in over 20 years in their education. And just to be able to pour into that activity and others so that we can continue to share the love. So I think we need to really share that, spread that, and make that go big and make that go wide across all of the counties.
And I will add to that at that event, for me, educators, anyone who works in education, custodian, teacher, secretary, whomever it may be. And what I love that at that event, there was a diversity of those being recognized because of their position, not only because of their person.
Right.
Yeah. Dr. White?
Yeah, I was going to say too, at the event, those being recognized, you have to remember that they were nominated for demonstrating MOSAIC qualities, inclusivity. And so we want people all across California to start looking at those people who are doing it right. Let's recognize that it's like our own personal Peace Prize. And so that's what we want to do. So what I really want, I want resources. What does resources mean? Money. I want volunteers.
You need some coins, Dr. White?
We need a few coins. And we do have a budget that we work through Inland Empire Community Foundation. But every time people donate, it goes straight to the recognitions. We don't have staff. We're all volunteers. And it goes to support the scholarships. And we really want to support the cohort. That means don't just support them that one time, but support them at least 2 years. And so we need to have fundraisers, and we want people to saying, I want to see peace and unity in our community. So I will give towards this particular organization.
Ladies, it has been my blessing to have you all come take a seat at the gifted table and for sharing why we all need MOSAIC. Women across not only California, let's take this international.
Oh, yes.
I stopped at national. International. Because we want that true connection and just picturesque of women all over the world. So thank you so much. And thank you for taking your seat here at the Gifted Table. We know that you've been blessed and inspired. Where can people find Mosaic?
There is a website, and if they go to mosaiclegacy.com, subscribe to our mailing list, and we look forward to each and every one of you signing, whether you are male or female, because we will be taking a male chapter. We look forward to having you go to the website.
So again, thank you so much. And as always, stay grounded, innovative, fierce, transparent every day. In other words, stay gifted. I'll see you next time.